featuring the internationally acclaimed inventor of the Bonati Spine procedures, Alfred Bonati, MD. Once again, here are Dr. Bonati and your host, Kimberly Brumell.
Thank you for watching and listening to American Medicine Today. I'm Kimberly Brumell, joined by Ethan Euchre.
Happy to be here.
Jeff Wagstaff.
Thanks for having me.
And the Munching on Chicken, world-renowned orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Alfred Bonati.
Man's got to eat.
That was
Bonati
not fair.
Spine Institute.
Man's got to eat, man.
I couldn't help myself. I wish you guys could see this if you're only listening on radio. You know, when you think about back pain, it is miserable because, if you wrench your neck, you wake up with a sore neck, not even something damaged, and it's painful. Imagine that agonizing pain for a day, a week, a month, years. I mean, we talk to patients that sometimes have suffered in excruciating, debilitating pain for 10, 15, even 30 years. Well, you don't need to do that. If you've tried conservative type methods and it's not working for you, you don't need to try traditional spine surgery where they fillet you down the front, they fillet you down the back, they remove organs, and then sometimes they're putting in invasive things like screws, plates, rods, wire. You don't need it. And under the guise of minimally invasive, they're using a small cut, but they're still trying to introduce those things that will mangle and tangle your nerves. More often than not, you never need to have hardware in your back. Leave it for your tool chest and leave it in the garage. With that said, we have quite an exciting show for you. We're going to be talking about Zika drug breakthrough. This could change everything.
Yeah, and it's from right here in Florida,
Yeah.
right up at FSU. And it's a graduate student and her team that came up with basically a breakthrough, as you said, that could help treat Zika.
I can't wait to talk about that. And then we're going to hear In Lies We Trust. That should be a good one. And then, of course, you'll hear what's new in American medicine today. But up first,
In today's Back to Life segment, we will talk to a patient of the Bonati Spine Institute who went from living a life that was restricted by pain and discomfort through their journey of finding the Bonati Spine Institute and are now living pain-free.
I am pleased to introduce Nostaran Sowers, who previously lived in Georgia and then moved to Australia and now is back in Georgia.
Made it around the world.
Yeah.
Way to go, Nostraran. How are you?
Thanks
Great.
for joining us.
How are you?
We are
Good.
doing well.
So why don't you tell us how you came to be in pain? Were you in any sort of accident, or do you think it was just degenerative in nature?
Well, it started about 27 years ago when I had a breech birth.
Okay.
But I dealt with it, and it wasn't that bad. But being a soldier, and after September 11th, I ended up doing 10 years in the war zone. And the heavy gear
Yes.
that I wear just made my back pain unbearable.
Got it.
Real quick, and I picked the best time to ask Doc a question. Do you see that often at all, Doc, where there's during labor, something happens in the back that causes back pain?
Sometimes can happen.
Yeah. Okay. Because it's just the first we've had a patient in 3 years that I've heard that from. That's very interesting.
My mom also tells me I caused hers, but
It's your fault. Kimberly.
but why don't you tell us
You cause a lot of pain.
when you're in the military, though, you are wearing those heavy packs. You're a lot on your feet. There's heavy equipment. What did that pain feel like for you, and where on your body were you feeling it? Was it localized? Can you describe that for us?
Sure. It really started in my lower back.
Okay.
But it went down my buttocks on the left side.
Okay.
And it hadn't really gotten as bad on my leg to begin with. In 2008, when things got so bad, I would come back to U.S. and I would get injections.
Yeah.
And then I would go back to the war zone. And it would last me for a little while, but then it would get really bad again. The next year I come back, got injections again.
Right, because isn't that masking the pain, Dr. Bonati? Injections like that?
It's removing some of the inflammation, works
Okay.
for a little bit. The first injection works well. Well, the second injection is not so good. The third injection doesn't work at all.
Got it. Okay. So you kept realizing that these injections were working less and less every time that you had them. What did you do?
Well, in 2011, I finally had a traditional surgery.
Oh,
and it helped me for a short time, but I went right back and I put on my bulletproof vest and my gear.
Wow.
And it didn't last very long.
Wow. Did they do a fusion on you? What type of surgery?
No, he said that he had to go in and take care of a bone spur.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So, but unfortunately, it got so bad that I really was basically, I had to retire finally about 3 years ago because I couldn't use my left leg hardly at all.
Wow.
And I got to the point that I couldn't even stand up to take a shower. I was in so much pain and couldn't stand or walk more than 2 minutes at a time.
Oh, my goodness.
Mrs. Sellers, first of all, we certainly want to thank you for your service. But when you had that original traditional surgery, what was the recuperating time for you to kind of get your boots back on, so to speak?
Yes. Well, first of all, it was horrific. The fact that I couldn't get up to go to the bathroom without complete help. I mean, the muscles, and I couldn't lift myself up or lay back down. It was really excruciating. But I think it took me about 2.5 months
Wow.
before I, went back.
Go ahead, Jeff.
No,
Sorry.
I was just curious what the recuperating time was that she experienced with the original surgery, traditional surgery, versus when she had the Bonati Spine procedure,
Well,
which we'll get
the
to shortly.
Bonati Spine was incredible. It really was. Within 6 days, I was in the mall, and I was walking like there was nothing wrong.
Wow. So
It was truly a miracle. It really was. I can't describe it any other way.
stark contrast. It had to be hard for you because being in the military, you're self-sufficient. You can take care of yourself, and to be in a position where you can't walk and you're reliant upon others, that has to really mess with your mind.
Oh, it was depressing. It
Right.
really was hard. And I am such an active person, an energetic person, that it made it even worse.
Yeah.
Because I just basically couldn't do anything but
Got
sit.
it.
And even sleeping was difficult.
Wow. So why don't you, let's fast forward. You reach out to Bonati and you come in and you have that in-person evaluation. Did you feel like the doctor knew where the source of your pain was coming from? Or did you have to really explain it?
No, they basically told me, you know what I'm saying, based on what I had,
Right.
additional pains and everything that I was feeling. It was very surprising,
Okay.
like they were in my body. By the way, I want to let you know that my doctor is who recommended, actually,
Bonati?
Dr. Uteg
Okay.
in the Bonati Institute, and I actually went back to him in Georgia after the surgery and thanked him because he told me that Dr. Uteg, he had a patient that couldn't walk and was in a wheelchair, and Dr. Uteg had done surgery on her, and she came back walking. So I got the information from him and contacted Bonati Institute.
And see, that happens all the time. So there you are, you have the evaluation, you feel like they know where that source of your pain is coming from. What did you think about the conscious IV sedation? And I have to ask, did you watch your surgery?
Well, I didn't watch all of it, but I did watch the last part when Dr. Bonati was doing it, and I was fussing at him, telling him I was going to beat him up when I get off the table.
But wasn't it, in comparison to your traditional surgeries, wasn't it much better to be aware and interactive so you knew what was going on to your body?
Yes.
Yes.
It was incredible because Dr. Bonati kept telling me, oh, come on, it doesn't hurt.
Doc, you got to be careful. This lady's a soldier.
You misunderstood. I said doesn't hurt me. I didn't say you.
Doesn't hurt Doc at all.
So I have to ask, with the amount of pain that you were in all seriousness, you're always going to have surgery, site, soreness, but the actual agonizing pain that brought you in, when did you feel a relief of that pain? Did it start right away?
The first surgery, I had 95% improvement right away.
All right.
The second surgery, I had a little bit of hard time, like I had regressed a little bit.
Okay.
And Dr. Bonati then took me back in and did a third surgery on me.
Sure. Okay.
And that improved a lot. And one of the things that I really want to say about this organization that I'm very impressed with is their commitment to fixing, whatever, what I'm saying may not be perfect. I mean, none of us really expect a perfect thing every time, but they were incredible. They were understanding, caring, and I'm telling you, I recommend them to everybody because instead of saying, oh, well, we did it and this is the best we can do, they just went out of their way to make everything work well for me, and I've improved a lot more, and I do have another surgery scheduled in November, and honestly, I'm looking forward to it.
Aw. Well, we really appreciate that, and, continued good health. We'll see you again in November, and thank you so much for sharing your story with us. And again, on behalf of the Institute and American Medicine Today, thank you so much for your service to the country.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I want to thank you for doing what you guys are doing because I know there are many people out there that are suffering that don't know anything about this.
Oh. Well, you getting your story out there helps those people realize there is an option. Thank you so much.
Have a good day.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Take care.
Thank you.
God
Bye-bye.
bless. That right there is exactly why the Bonati Spine Institute does what it does, and that's why their patented exclusive Bonati Spine procedures help bring patient pain resolve, true patient pain resolve, 98.75%. That says it right there.
Yes,
Make
it
sure
does.
you stay tuned because coming up after the break, we're going to talk about something revolutionary as far as Zika and a drug that might be able to eradicate it. Stay tuned. Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati Spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati Spine procedures, they consistently reflect 98.75% patient satisfaction. 50,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Over half our patients have suffered from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
This is the first time that I am pain-free after 18 years, and it's just wonderful. I love it.
Phenomenal results, no pain whatsoever.
My pain is virtually gone, nothing short of a miracle.
Those surgeries gave me my life back.
Already I feel like a new person.
I'm going home new. I can chase my grandbaby now, I can garden, I can cook, and I'm really thrilled. The outcome has been remarkable.
I feel 100% better.
It's like a miracle.
It was phenomenal. It literally did change my life.
I was in a wheelchair at that time, and I left here walking.
Every single pain that I had when I came here is gone.
I'm ready to go home and feel great. This place is great. Thank you.
Everything that they said they would do, they have done, and I'm very, very satisfied and happy with those results.
I knew in surgery, in fact I told the surgeon when he relieved the pain off the nerve.
The pain is gone. I'm feeling wonderful.
I have no pain. I feel better than I felt in 4 years from the surgery. It was almost immediate relief.
Today I am totally pain-free, which is just amazing. It's fantastic.
It definitely works. I mean, I really don't know what else to tell you. I'm happy.
You're listening to American Medicine Today, presented by the Bonati Spine Institute, featuring the internationally acclaimed inventor of the Bonati Spine procedures, Alfred Bonati, MD. Once again, here are Dr. Bonati and your host, Kimberly Brumell.
Thanks for listening to American Medicine Today. I'm Kimberly Brumell alongside Ethan Euchre.
Happy to be here.
Jeff Wagstaff.
Thanks for having me.
And world-renowned orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Alfred Bonati of the Bonati Spine Institute.
I'm here.
He is waving the white flag because Zika has been making headlines all summer long, and researchers right here in Florida have made a breakthrough in drugs to treat the virus. Joining us right now is Emily Lee, graduate student and biology researcher at Florida State University, and part of the team that made that particular discovery. So thanks for being here, Emily.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Hey, Emily, I just wanted to start off by saying everybody has heard at this point, unless you live under a rock, about the Zika virus. For those two people who haven't, describe the virus, how it's transmitted, and why, what the effects are if someone's infected.
So Zika virus is a virus that's been relatively obscure until the late, 2009, and really 2015 is when we really started hearing about it. So that might be for those two people who haven't heard about it. It's fairly new. It's been around since at least 1947. That's when it was first found in a forest in Uganda in a monkey who had a fever, basically.
It always goes back to a monkey for some reason. You know?
Right.
That's terrible.
So it was found in a monkey. And people noted it and saw that, okay, there were small populations of people who were also getting infected by this virus, but it didn't really cause too many problems. It was kind of what people thought a relatively harmless virus until late 2015 when large outbreaks started happening in Brazil. And with such a large population, we started to see what the virus is capable of, and the most detrimental effects that we were seeing were neurological defects such as microcephaly in fetuses.
Right. And as far as we knew, there was no real treatment for Zika, correct?
Right. So there hasn't been a need prior to this to look at treatments for Zika because it was a virus that we thought cleared very quickly and didn't have too many negative effects.
Sure.
But there aren't any treatments for Zika, and there aren't any vaccines for Zika, which is why there's been a large research effort to find new drugs that could be used, or repurposed drugs for treating this type of infection.
Emily, not to get us off track by any means, but we've all seen the news. We've seen the poor children that are inflicted with this.
Terrible.
But what is, other than physically, we can see that their developmental is different. Their developmental as a children is different. But the question is, what is their outlook as they become toddlers and young children? How will this disease affect these poor babies as they grow up?
Yeah, so it's pretty sad. There's different levels of neurological defects that happen to these children. So there's the more extreme, which are the cases of microcephaly, with the smaller brain size. Right. And then there's some that are less extreme that aren't really noticeable, but these children have developmental defects, and they have to be followed up through their lives and carefully monitored and helped to sort of catch up. So it's a very sad, kind of tragic thing, because these are children who have these defects that will continue to follow them.
But will they have the ability to walk and talk and interact and lead a normal life, or are they going to be very challenged as they grow up?
Right. So it really depends on the degree of severity of microcephaly. So I don't particularly study that area. I'm a virologist.
Okay.
But as far as I understand, it depends on the amount of microcephaly that's occurring.
Well, this depends on the time that the baby is infected. For example, if it's infected in the first week, then neurologically you affect the whole system. But if it's affected farther, then affect you don't have a microcephaly, you have another type of neurological problem, you said?
Yes. So there's additional neurological defects, and the time of infection during the pregnancy seems to be important for how
affects the severity.
I have to ask, because we're talking about how it affects people, but how do you get the virus? I mean, they were saying a mosquito bite. Then all of a sudden it was all over television, in the newspapers, that it's sexually transmitted. What are the ways that you can transmit Zika?
Right. So this is a very strange virus in that it's a mosquito-transmitted virus that can also be transmitted sexually.
Okay.
And there's a couple of bodily fluids that people have been testing to see if you have infectious virus in or not, which is really odd because if you look at its closely related family members, that doesn't seem to be true for other related viruses. So we're kind of surprised when we heard that. So this virus, the most common route of transmission is bloodborne and through mosquito bites. So it seems to be that it's transmitting from mosquito to person to mosquito to person. In the past, we thought it was probably through an animal vector, like mosquito to animal host, mosquito to person.
Sure.
But the areas that it's being transmitted, there aren't any monkeys in the area.
Got it.
Or primates.
Right.
So it must be.
Emily, I want to speed things up because we're running out of time. But the reason we had you on is because of that breakthrough in drugs to treat the virus. So can you talk about the type of drug compounds that are used to treat, and is it something that can eradicate Zika?
Yeah, so in our screen, we screened over 6,000 compounds to look for antiviral activity against Zika virus infection. And some of the compounds we were looking at were already FDA approved for other indications.
Sure.
And so one of them that we found was a drug that's used for tapeworm infections, intestinal tapeworm infections. Whether this can be used for treating Zika in people, we don't know yet. So we're working on some animal model studies to find out if it would be effective in vivo versus in vitro, which is how we did our initial studies.
Got it.
The good thing about this type of study is we're looking at a drug that's already FDA approved for other indications, so it's something that we could potentially speed up through clinical trials more quickly than another drug that, say, hadn't had any data in people already.
Which is a really smart way of looking at things, especially a drug that all of a sudden explodes on the scene. Not that it's an epidemic per se, but what you do is you look at things that are already on the market, that are already approved, because as we know, the FDA process can take a decade or more to approve a new drug. So that was really smart. So you're saying further testing will be needed, but there are drugs apparently that you all discovered that currently exist that will be able to treat Zika.
We don't know if they'll be able to treat Zika in people. We know that they work in cell culture.
Okay.
So we would love if they, it would be so great if they worked in people, but obviously there's a lot of steps that we need to go through to make sure that this would be effective in people. And so we're working on several compounds at one time to try to speed up this process up.
Well, it's a great start for sure. Yeah.
It's an exciting possibility, to say the least.
That's right.
Thank
All
you.
research done here at FSU.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Emily Lee, graduate student and biology researcher at the Florida State University. Thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Sure. Bye.
Go Knowles.
Thank you.
See ya.
Great work.
Well, hopefully it turns out to go from those cell cultures into humans, and hopefully we can eradicate the side effects on our little children. That about wraps up this segment. Make sure you stay tuned, though, because we have In Lies We Trust. Ooh, make sure you stay tuned. You're listening and watching American Medicine Today. Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati Spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati Spine procedures, they consistently reflect 98.75% patient satisfaction. 50,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Over half our patients have suffered from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
This is the first time that I am pain-free after 18 years. And it's just wonderful. I love it.
Phenomenal results. No pain whatsoever.
My pain is virtually gone. Nothing short of a miracle.
Those surgeries gave me my life back.
Already, I feel like a new person.
I'm going home new. I can chase my grandbaby now, I can garden, I can cook, and I'm really thrilled. The outcome has been remarkable.
I feel 100% better.
It's like a miracle.
It was phenomenal. It literally did change my life.
I was in a wheelchair at that time, and I left here walking.
Every single pain that I had when I came here is gone.
I'm ready to go home and feel great. This place is great. Thank you.
Everything that they said they would do, they have done, and I'm very, very satisfied and happy with those results.
I knew in surgery, in fact, I told the surgeon when he relieved the pain off the nerve.
The pain is gone. I'm feeling wonderful.
I have no pain. I feel better than I felt in 4 years from the surgery. It was almost immediate relief.
Today I am totally pain-free, which is just amazing. It's fantastic.
It definitely works. I mean, I really don't know what else to tell you. I'm happy.
You're listening to American Medicine Today, presented by the Bonati Spine Institute, featuring the internationally acclaimed inventor of the Bonati Spine procedures, Alfred Bonati, MD. Once again, here are Dr. Bonati and your host, Kimberly Brumell.
You are listening to American Medicine Today. I'm Kimberly Brumell, alongside Ethan Euchre,
Glad to be here.
Jeff Wagstaff,
Present and accounted for.
and world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. Alfred Bonati of the Bonati Spine Institute. Thanks for being here. With the presidential
Do I have
election,
permission to press this button?
he does that
I'd
on
rather I
purpose,
didn't
folks.
have to point. And
Uh-huh.
you just did it on your own.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah, he didn't make
You
his
got
finger
it.
go down there fast enough.
Look, I'm a Democrat. I need
Do somebody to do it for you.
Exactly.
Oh, no.
I got you.
Oh, boy. Well, you're going to love this next guest. With the presidential election being decided in just a few short weeks, there's been a lot of talk about how the media spins the news to meet their agenda, and of course they do.
Mm-hmm.
And joining us right now is Ed Bordeaux, author of new book, In Lies We Trust, How Politicians and the Media Are Deceiving the American Public, being called the most important book of the 2016 election. Thanks for being here, Ed.
My pleasure.
And Ed, your book obviously delves into all kinds of different aspects of how the government is lying to us. But one aspect that lies close to the hearts here of the show is Obamacare. You say that it's a scam that fails to deliver on its two main promises. Explain what you mean by that.
Big bag of duh.
Well, the reasons that were given for putting this whole thing into effect were that there were millions of people who supposedly were not being covered by insurance, by health insurance, and the other reason was that the costs were too high. So Obamacare was supposed to, A, bring more people under the coverage of health insurance, and B, lower costs. Well, it turns out it's done neither. We still have millions of people who are not covered by the insurance, and everybody's cost has gone up. All my friends are telling me their premiums have doubled, tripled, quadrupled. Corporations are saying that their costs have gone way up. We have companies like Aetna pulling out of the program because the cost is so high. So the whole thing, was really, the cat kind of was let out of the bag. One of the people who was responsible for putting the whole thing together came out and confessed that they lied to the public. His name is Jonathan Gruber. Jonathan Gruber was an MIT economist, and he was one of the architects of Obamacare. And he said quite openly that they knew that the whole thing probably wouldn't work, that it was too expensive, but that they lied to the American public because they figured that the public wouldn't approve it if they knew what was really in it.
Why is something like that not being punished by prison? Why something like that is not really brought to the attention?
That's a very good question. Why are they not all in jail?
Yeah.
The reason is that the Democrats have compromised the Justice Department, the IRS, and the FBI. We have a tremendous amount of corruption, at the highest levels.
Mm-hmm.
We just saw it recently with this whole thing with Hillary's emails.
Right.
How the director of the FBI, after laying out a whole bunch of reasons for indictments, said, "Well, we're not going to prosecute." Then you have the situation where the Attorney General meets with former President Clinton at an airport. Supposedly no one was supposed to know about it, but now we all know about it. I mean, a 5-year-old child can see through that. It's so obvious.
Oh, come on. They were just talking amongst friends.
Yeah, right. Yeah, sure.
But you mentioned Bill Clinton, which is actually ironic because he admitted in front of everyone that it
was the craziest thing in the world.
He thought Obamacare was the craziest thing in the world. And they went, oops.
Shouldn't have said that.
It's nice. It's unusual to hear them telling the truth for a change.
Exactly.
But you know, I still don't understand this. I have a tremendous mess on my brain when I look at all these things. I understand all these things. Why the American public doesn't understand this? What happened? Why we don't have the right information? We don't have.
Well, yeah, that's part of it. I mean, the media is not giving us the right information. But the first chapter of my book is called Gullible. And what I'm saying is that the American public, by and large, is gullible, that we believe all of the lies and distortions that are put out there. And I think that it's ultimately the responsibility of each citizen, of you and me, to be skeptical and to do our own research to find out what the truth is.
Right.
But how you reach the public? Because I understand you and I, we can have some brains to make a decision. Why the rest of these 40% or 50% of the voters that they are in the side of the Democrat are so dumb? Mm-hmm. What happened?
They just don't want to. They don't take the time to find out. I was talking to a friend of mine the other night, a very intelligent person. She has no idea what the truth is about any of the major issues. Not any. She doesn't. All she knows is that she says, "Oh, but Trump is a sexual predator."
So who cares?
Yeah, well, who
so
cares?
was Clinton. So was
Yeah.
Clinton.
Yeah. Well, this is obviously a way of taking the focus off of the issues.
Sure, of course.
Because Hillary Clinton cannot win on the issues.
Exactly.
So they're trying to demonize Trump, and people like my friend have fallen for it. They fall for this nonsense. Pure nonsense.
Yeah.
And to show you what nonsense it is, the whole case against Trump is based on a video. Well, I watched the video, and here's what he says in the video. He says, when you're a star, women let you do anything. He's talking about consensual sex. These women allowed him. He didn't force himself on anybody.
Right.
Yet the way it has been spun by the media and by the Clinton campaign is that he forced himself. It's all it's a lie.
And they're so hung up on words, but they refuse to pay attention to actions. Hillary Clinton, her actions in Benghazi caused American lives, or her inaction rather.
Well, that's what
caused lives.
They want to take the focus off that because they know if the focus is on that.
And
he looks terrible.
And I still want to know what she has ever done for women. What has she done?
Yeah, me too. I'd like to know what she's done also. The answer is nothing.
Right. Go ahead, Jeff.
Ed, did you get a chance to hear the young lady who accused Mr. Trump of acting inappropriately and groping her on an airplane some 20 years ago? Listening to nationally syndicated talk show host Schnitt here on our flagship station last night, he played the tape back of her, and she said, when he was fondling me above the waist, I was okay with it. But suddenly it became offensive when she, as she described it, went into the lower regions. Mm-hmm. So what woman in her right mind is going to be on an airplane and allow a man to touch her in any manner and let that slide? Let alone, basically what she was saying, it's okay if he fondled my breast, but if he touched me below the belt, that's inappropriate. That's just insanity.
Well, it doesn't pass the test, the truth test. It just
or the smell test.
No, not only that. Not only that. Not only that, if you really look at the 1970 airplanes, the seats were very large. They were separate in first class. They were separated by an arm that was not something that you can remove. And at the same time, you had a situation that those seats were around maybe 10 seats or 8 seats. And at the very end, you had two air stewards there that they I mean, if they see something like that, they will jump immediately. And the woman, if she felt that she was being mistreated, will accuse them immediately. So this is an incredible stupidity, and the people are falling for it.
Well, I believe she claimed that he lifted up the arm. And as you pointed out, the arms you couldn't lift up.
No, you can't.
It's just
first class.
Blatant, bold-faced lie. Yeah.
Ed, I was a proud journalism major at the University of Nebraska. And although I never practiced it, somehow I ended up in this crazy radio business. The first thing that you learn in journalism is the sacred promise to always be objective. The thing that we've learned that Mr. Trump has pointed out here recently is that the media, and we've all had suspicions that they're not really objective. But now it seems, and I tend to agree with Mr. Trump, that it seems that the media is now taking on the role of special interest. They have an agenda to drive, and they are going to do it come hell or high water.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they're teaching right now in journalism school, but I have to assume that they're teaching the students that their agendas are more important than the truth.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And it's sad.
Well, another thing I really wanted to hit on real quick before we let you go, Ed, is you talk in your book about how political correctness is the biggest obstacle to resolving the racial crisis in this country.
That's right.
Explain what you mean by that.
Well, you're not allowed to say anything that is critical of black people or Hispanics or any minorities.
Sure.
So what happens is anytime a person tries to say something intelligent, they're shot down. If you're white, they call you a racist. If you're black, they call you an Uncle Tom. So nobody wants to say anything because of political correctness. So nothing gets done, and that's why we're having a problem with race. If people could say what needs to be said, we would be able to solve the problem.
Right. You don't need to use bigoted terms, but if there was somebody committing a crime or alleged crime, and they are of a different race, you have every right to tell the ethnicity instead of going, oh, just a man, and you have to be on the lookout for just a man. Well, God help us.
Well, one of the lies that's put out there is that the racist justice system and police are out to get black men. They're out, and that's a lie. The other lie is that a disproportionate number of black men are in jail because the Justice Department is racist. Right. That's also a lie. The reason that there is a disproportionate number of black men in jail is because a disproportionate number of black men commit crimes.
Correct.
You're not supposed to say that.
Yeah,
political correctness says
you racist,
Sure.
Ed.
But you know what?
You're clouding the issue with facts, Ed.
They need to be teaching classes in school that if a policeman stops you, you listen. You are told to put your hands up. You put your damn hands up. You don't resist arrest,
like
and
a mom.
maybe you won't get shot.
Well, you know, with what's going on in schools today, they're probably teaching just the opposite. They're probably telling the kids to talk back to the police. I mean, the stuff that's being taught in schools,
it's unbelievable.
It boggles my mind.
It absolutely does. I agree. I truly enjoyed this conversation with you, Ed Bordeaux. Thank you so much. Author of new book, In Lies We Trust, How Politicians and the Media Are Deceiving the American Public. Thank you so much. Where can we get your book?
Well, the best place is Amazon.
Okay.
Amazon or Barnes & Noble or your favorite bookstore, but it's In Lies We Trust, and people need to read it before the election so they can understand what the truth is about the issues.
I can't wait to get a copy myself. Thank you so much for being on the program.
My pleasure.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Yeah, there's a lot of really good stuff in that book, too. He talks about Islam, and
yes.
I couldn't even finish the list of
fascinating stuff.
It's really cool.
And it's people like him that need to come out and put these things out so the public can become better educated. Make sure you stay tuned, because coming up after the break, you'll hear what's new. Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati Spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati Spine procedures, they consistently reflect 98.75% patient satisfaction. 50,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Over half our patients have suffered from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
This is the first time that I am pain-free after 18 years. And it's just wonderful. I love it.
Phenomenal results. No pain whatsoever.
My pain is virtually gone. Nothing short of a miracle.
Those surgeries gave me my life back.
Already, I feel like a new person.
I'm going home new. I can chase my grandbaby now, I can garden, I can cook, and I'm really thrilled. The outcome has been remarkable.
I feel 100% better.
It's like a miracle.
It was phenomenal. It literally did change my life.
I was in a wheelchair at that time, and I left here walking.
Every single pain that I had when I came here is gone.
I'm ready to go home and feel great. This place is great. Thank you.
Everything that they said they would do, they have done, and I'm very, very satisfied and happy with those results.
I knew in surgery, in fact, I told the surgeon when he relieved the pain off the nerve.
The pain is gone. I'm feeling wonderful.
I have no pain. I feel better than I felt in 4 years from the surgery. It was almost immediate relief.
Today I am totally pain-free, which is just amazing. It's fantastic.
It definitely works. I mean, I really don't know what else to tell you. I'm happy.
You're listening to American Medicine Today, presented by the Bonati Spine Institute, featuring the internationally acclaimed inventor of the Bonati Spine procedures, Alfred Bonati, MD. Once again, here are Dr. Bonati and your host, Kimberly Bermel.
Thank you for joining us on American Medicine Today. I'm Kimberly Bermel with Ethan Euchre.
Happy to be here.
Jeff Wagstaff.
Yes, I am.
And world-renowned orthopedic surgeon who needs to turn on his mic, world-renowned surgeon, Dr. Alfred Bonati.
Let's look at what's new in medicine today, featuring Alfred Bonati, MD.
So what's going on, Doc?
I'm being harassed here.
That happens every day.
Yeah.
You should be used to it by now.
This is getting very heavy.
Especially with the election year differences in healthcare policy. Isn't that what you want to address?
Yeah, exactly. So, since Harry Truman in 1948, I think, he is the one who initially proposed the idea to create some sort of a national health care. And since that time, the Democrats keep pushing this socialistic behavior that is not only very well recognized around the world, that is a disaster for society and for really the people who need health care. The children will be abandoned to a very mediocre healthcare till they becomes to a certain age that the government knows now they are going to start to pay taxes.
Sure.
So at that time they become an important part of the socialistic group. And the elderly after 65, they are abandoned also because now they don't produce any and they don't pay taxes. Or if they pay taxes, very minimal because not the productive taxes. So they're abandoned too. So the healthcare doesn't really exist for them. That's what I don't understand, how the country is so unaware of what is going to happen once this mandate becomes an idea of Hillary Clinton. Now the problem is that she's trying to push the public option that is practically socialized medicine.
Right.
Now, one of the things that we need to know is what's the difference between what the Democrats propose and what the Republicans propose. The Democrats are proposing a failed type of a system that failed all over the world, with the enormous amount of increase in taxes, enormous amount of irresponsibility from the professionals, because now the doctors are going to be part of the irresponsible behavior, because they are not going to be able to really make decisions for the patient.
Okay, are you talking, just so I have it clear in my mind, are you talking about just healthcare in general? Are you talking about specifically Obamacare, Medicaid, Medicare?
I'm talking about what happens when you have a public option that is a mandate to the whole country.
Okay, so Obamacare.
Yes.
Okay.
No, Obamacare is not really mandate yet, because still you have private insurance.
Okay.
But when you have a public option, is everybody becomes part of the government.
Okay.
And then
like
the doctors are going to be part of the government.
Okay.
Once you tell the doctor that he's going to see 100 patients a day and is going to do 10 surgeries a day, well, somebody's going to suffer. Okay, those patients are not going to be seen, number one, and the surgeons are not going to be really surgeries that they solve the problems for the patients. And at the very end, those doctors are not going to care anymore, and then suddenly are going to be less and less competent. Because once you have no responsibility, because once you have this type of healthcare, you cannot sue the doctor because he's an employee of the government.
Right.
So what happens is the doctor gives a damn about if you die or you don't.
Well, so if that happens, it's going to be like the scandals we have continuously been seeing with the VA. Is that what you're saying? Except now it'll be
the VA is going to be the Rolls Royce of the healthcare.
Got it.
Because that is going to be, oh my God, I hope I have a VA healthcare.
Right.
Okay. No, that is going to be worse than that. The next thing that happens is you need to understand that there's no solution for. They are not telling you what you need to do, except they are telling you, we're going to force this healthcare, and then they're telling you, you need to pay taxes.
Right.
And the taxes are going to be so outrageous, everybody will need to pay because everybody is covered at the same umbrella. So we don't care if the person has, there are around 5 different type of entities in medicine that are the cost of 75% of the expenses. These chronic diseases that they create that problem, they are now on the mandate. Okay, and it's no common sense to do that, but it's part of the mandate. So what happened with that is then you have no solution except pay taxes, and every time those taxes go to the political system who mishandle this. Look at the problems with the VA. The mishandle in the VA, and they are so small. Can you imagine a national mishandle of that? Not only the economy is going to suffer, but every one of the patients are going to suffer.
Of course.
Now, the Trump idea is different. It's a market solution. It's a market solution that is with a premium support programs. What is that? That's an idea that was created, that was discussed by the Hudson Institute. And they talk about the 3-legged proposal. That's an alternative to what is right now in the market.
Sure.
And that one, the first thing that they need to do is they need to collapse Obamacare. And how you do that? Well, you collapse the mandate. The mandate is what is supporting right now Obamacare. So what you do is you said, no more mandate. So everybody is now free to go and look for an insurance. So everybody who's in Medicaid right now, forced by Obama to get in that type of a healthcare, they could jump immediately to a private healthcare. And when you jump to private healthcare, you have options.
Correct.
But you know, the private healthcare right now also is misbehaving because they are getting premiums that they are outrageous. So what you do is you create a system with a premium support program. And the premium support program, imagine that your insurance costs you $10, and you are in the in a poor side of the income.
Sure.
Then you go and you say, I cannot afford the $10. So the government is going to give you a voucher.
Right.
This voucher now is going to pay $5 for you, and the insurance company is going to afford the $5. So you can pay the $10 to get the best insurance available for you. But also you need to act in a certain way that you need to collapse certain type of the antitrust law. We do have an antitrust law that was passed by, I think it's McCarran and Ferguson Act. That act protects the insurance company. So you cannot sue the insurance company for antitrust.
Got it.
If you can sue the insurance company from an antitrust, the insurance company will behave better and will control the system better.
Right.
So if you do those two things, you have the government helping to the people who needs, and then
the insurance is held accountable if they don't.
And the insurance get accountable the service.
Perfect.
They will be okay.
And that's a look at what's new in medicine today with Alfred Bonati, MD.
That's been a long time coming and much needed. Thanks for tuning in and listening to American Medicine Today. Make sure you check us out on Bloomberg and tweet at Dr. Bonati using hashtag American Medicine Today or hashtag AMT. And like us on Facebook. We'll see you next time. If you're an affiliate, make sure you stay tuned. Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati Spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati Spine procedures, they consistently reflect 98.75% patient satisfaction. 50,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Over half our patients have suffered from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
This is the first time that I am pain-free after 18 years. And it's just wonderful. I love it.
Phenomenal results. No pain whatsoever.
My pain is virtually gone. Nothing short of a miracle.
Those surgeries gave me my life back.
Already, I feel like a new person.
I'm going home new. I can chase my grandbaby now, I can garden, I can cook, and I'm really thrilled. The outcome has been remarkable.
I feel 100% better.
It's like a miracle.
It was phenomenal. It literally did change my life.
I was in a wheelchair at that time, and I left here walking.
Every single pain that I had when I came here is gone.
I'm ready to go home and feel great. This place is great. Thank you.
Everything that they said they would do, they have done, and I'm very, very satisfied and happy with those results.
I knew in surgery, in fact, I told the surgeon when he relieved the pain off the nerve.
The pain is gone. I am feeling wonderful.
I have no pain. I feel better than I felt in 4 years from the surgery. It was almost immediate relief.
Today I am totally pain-free, which is just amazing. It's fantastic.
It definitely works. I mean, I really don't know what else to tell you. I'm happy.